Okay, before we get to Manny, I do want to talk a little bit about the rematch in the Peach Bowl. I will be at this game, so we will have a podcast after that. We're not going to do both. We'll wait until the entire round is done before we reconvene. Such an intriguing game. It feels like a heavyweight fight, maybe the de facto national championship game. Feels like Indiana and Oregon are both in different places from when they met the last time. I mean, Indiana's beaten a bunch of really good football teams since that game, gained a ton of confidence, and just crushed Alabama at the Rose Bowl to come into this game. They also got their first Heisman Trophy winner. But that game against Oregon was the one that legitimized Indiana this year to a lot of people, as a team that could beat someone that has more, or at least comparable NFL talent. But the dudes, the types of rosters that they could not beat last year.
Right.
And we talk a lot about what Indiana has done so well. One of the things they have done is stay old. They have a lot of experienced players, a lot of fourth, fifth year guys. And that does help you against young, talented, but young players, which is basically what Oregon is right now. Their offense is coming off a really not great game against an elite Texas Tech defensive front. So that's part of it. But the defense was phenomenal for Oregon against the Red Raiders. If you're Dan Lanning, I think you love that everyone's, again, still talking about your opponent coming into this game. Gives you a lot of cover. You can kind of just work on yourselves and look for bulletin board material, whatever that might be. So it just feels like this is going to be potentially instant classic type of game, but just like a really high level game. Probably if Dante Moore declares the top two quarterbacks in the draft, there's just a lot here. And again, great offensive lines, finalists for the Joe Moore Award, defenses that are weirdly underrated. There's so much that I like here. What intrigues you the most about that matchup?
Well, I'll start with the age thing that you brought up, and it's interesting because I talked to a coach who had an old team last year and a younger team this year, and he's like, the biggest thing in this era is the idea that there are some teams that just don't make as many mistakes and they beat you in the margins because they're so veteran. And I think that is a big factor for Indiana. And by the way, all these guys are well coached, right? Like, they've got talent. It's not to dismiss any of that. But one of the superpowers is the fact that they've got guys who have seen a lot of football, and they're just not shaken in big moments, and they know how to make adjustments on the sidelines. So I think that's a huge benefit to them as they continue on their run here. One of the questions that pops into my mind is, what changes from the first time we saw this matchup, or does anything change on either side? Oregon feels probably as good as they do about their health right now. I would feel a little bit shaky with the offensive line performance that we saw the last time they were out, but we also saw a defense in the first round that didn't look very good, and they played their best game all year long. So this is kind of the stuff that Dan Lanning really leans into, and like, he looks for his team to make mistakes and be doubted so he can coach them hard and he can motivate them. Kurt Cignetti, also a phenomenal motivator. You know that his guys are going to be ready, and this is going to be, again, one of those challenges of a team that talent-wise you would 100% pick Oregon's roster. But it's this idea of Indiana not making a lot of mistakes. And we talk about offensively, the way that they're able to operate in RPOs, the way they're able to operate in drop back, the way that they run block, and then on defense, creating unblocked players up front. And the fact that they will take away one of Oregon's biggest superpowers, which is the explosive downfield pass, because they just don't have coverage busts. I think if Oregon has to methodically move the football down the field and they can't find a few explosives, this is one of those games where I don't know what the score will be, but I feel pretty comfortable that Indiana can win it.